radio-inspiring singers everywhere. And not too long after that, Rise Awakenings would come onto the scene to bring you shows of inspiration, spiritual uplift, and heightened awareness. And together they formed the Rise Radio Networks. And just like the phoenix rising from the ashes, we have a new home on the web called Embers of Light. Come and check it out.
Start with the quiet parts, the things you hide behind your laugh. Sit with the ache a while. Let every question breathe and ask, who was I trying to be? Who am I when I just stay? Name every tender scar and let them have their say. Till your heart carries you. This is the blue.
Pages of old beliefs, stories that kept you playing small. Lay them out on the floor, see which ones never fit at all. Offer your younger self a kindness you never knew. From the soil of your soul. This is the blue.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Bloom Day. Welcome. If you're new here, just wanted to share with you that whatever I share with you, whatever wisdom we talk about on this podcast is really based on my own personal knowledge and experience from my own educational and healing journeys. And I do share it in the greatest degree of love. So if it resonates, great. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Also, just a reminder that I'll get to the chat questions as fast as I can and as many as I can. So start thinking of your questions about forgiveness. And thank you, Micah, for being the man behind the curtain. And thank you, Michael, for all the work that you did to make the bloom look as fabulous on Embers of Light. And reach out to me on all the socials and healingrose.org if you want to work with me directly. Let's dive into forgiveness today. And this is a touchy topic because there's so many of us out there that have struggled with, and maybe there's still someone that we struggle with. Well, I can't ever forgive and Whew. Okay, so let's dive in. So for me, I think forgiveness is one of those most misunderstood parts of the healing journey because we're society, culture, religion, we're often taught that forgiveness means forgive and forget, right? Like a magic erase. But if we're honest, our nervous system doesn't forget. Your body remembers, your emotions remember, your patterns remember, right? Don't we keep repeating the same issues? So when we're told just forgive without a deeper understanding of what forgiveness truly is, it can feel invalidating and sometimes even harmful. Because forgiveness, as it's commonly presented, often skips something very essential, and that is the lived experience of pain. Why forgiveness feels so complicated? Let's talk about it. Forgiveness becomes complicated when we start asking real human questions. Do we forgive somebody who deeply violated us? Do we forgive betrayal, abuse, abandonment? Do we forgive someone who never took accountability? Do we forgive when it cost us years of our life, our safety, and our identity? So these are not simple questions. And the truth is, they aren't meant to be answered in black and white because very, very true for all of us is that we're all having our own very personal and unique circumstance and situation. Our experiences are all different. Our nervous systems all process differently. And every one of us has a story that holds its own weight, right? So instead of asking what is forgivable, maybe let's shift towards something more empowering and productive. What is forgiveness actually for? What forgiveness really is, as soon as I turn my paper here. So forgiveness is not about excusing behavior, and it isn't about reconciling. It isn't about pretending something didn't happen. Forgiveness is about your healing and your healing alone. It's helping you to move forward. It's helping you to process and release yourself from the prison of the pain, from the weight of the resentment, from that grip of shame that's around you, and from the cycles of survival mode, those patterns that keep coming up and up and up, right? We have to heal through those. So that forgiveness piece is to give ourselves permission to open ourselves up more deeply to ourselves. It's not something that we offer to others first. It's something that we allow within ourselves. So when something is painful that happens, and especially trauma, okay, any kind of trauma, our nervous system shifts into that protection. And that protection sometimes can show up as hypervigilance, emotional shutdown, anger or defensiveness, distrust, self-sabotage even. So These aren't character flaws at all. These are adaptations to being in survival mode and to getting yourself out of survival. So when we talk about forgiveness, we have to include this truth. We cannot force forgiveness through a dysregulated nervous system. Forgiveness becomes possible when we feel safe, and we have to make ourselves feel safe. So we can't judge ourselves and shame ourselves for any of the behaviors that we exhibit that might end up making other people uncomfortable or triggering others, such as what we talked about a minute ago. Compassion is the bridge to forgiveness. If forgiveness feels out of reach, compassion is a beautiful place to start. Not compassion for what happened or the harmful behavior, but for your pain, for your confusion, for your survival mode responses, and for your own humanity and your limitations, the flaws, that all of that comes within. Okay? When you talk to yourself with compassion, you realize, of course that hurt. Of course you responded the way you did. Of course it was a struggle. Of course. God, you're a badass for getting through it the way you did. So from that place, forgiveness can begin to soften into something possible. Let's be clear about what forgiveness is not. It does not mean forgetting. It doesn't mean allowing harmful behavior again. It does not mean bypassing your emotions. It doesn't require reconciliation, okay? And it does not mean someone deserves to have access to you. You can forgive and still keep your boundaries and say no and choose to walk away. So let's take a minute and talk about, sometimes there's situations where we can repair, where the repair is possible and we can reconnect. And that has to be in safe spaces where you can feel comfortable speaking your truth, being heard. Do you feel heard, right? Does it feel like you're both willing to repair the relationship? Are you coming to that deeper understanding of each other? Like, there has to be that safety. It has to be safe, mutual, and there has to be accountability. Forgiveness never requires this, but when truly aligned, that healing is even more profound because that human connection deepens that human connection. So you see what I did? That level of human connection deepens that specific human connection. It's beautiful. So let's talk about the forgiveness that we get to do through circumstances and situations and peoples that did not give us any closure, because sometimes we don't get the closure. There's no apology, there's no acknowledgement, no justice that feels enough. And sometimes people are going to find you to be the villain in their story. Sometimes people are going to make you out to be the bad guy and smear campaign you because they're locked in their own limiting beliefs based on their very judgmental and limited perspectives. And they lack accountability. Okay? When there's no accountability, we're going to be in a god-awful mess. And then there's going to be no closure and no resolve. And yet, forgiveness allows us to create closure within ourselves. It says, I will not carry this any longer. And I release what no longer serves my life. But most important, we have to begin with self-forgiveness. Okay, before we can ask ourselves whether or not someone else deserves our forgiveness, or there's forgiveness to be had, or what the forgiveness is going to look like, we got to go within ourselves, okay? And maybe we can ask ourselves a lovely question that's gentle and safe. Have I forgiven myself? Have I? Have I forgiven myself for what I said in survival mode? Have I forgiven myself for what I tolerated? Have I forgiven myself for what I didn't know at the time? Have I forgiven myself for how I coped? Have I forgiven myself for the ways I abandoned myself? Self-forgiveness asks something deeply powerful of us, that radical, compassionate acceptance. It's not approval, it's understanding that we did the best we could within the awareness, capacity, and resources that we had at the time. We have to have radical acceptance in our journey towards self-forgiveness, because no matter the circumstance, and some other circumstances are beyond our control even. What if there's a car accident? You know, who do we forgive there? And how what if we get ill? There's a sickness and an illness, and it's too much for someone we love to handle, and it hurts us. But they're having their own experience too. And if they don't have the capacity, why would we hold that? You know what I'm saying? So we can go into so many different directions with how we just need to accept the circumstances as they are so that we can see past the circumstances and look to the self-forgiveness piece of what needs weren't met of mine when I was feeling triggered, right? So radical acceptance helps us recognize that our brain function changes, our perception is very narrowed, and our choices were influenced by fear and protection. So let's understand that we give ourselves grace for our humanity and humanness, and allow ourselves to accept ourselves fully and completely, even if we didn't like ourselves in certain spaces and times. We can start to release the shame. We have to start releasing the shame. Okay? When we can release the shame, we can really, really return deeper into that heart-centered space where forgiveness is not about becoming someone who's okay with everyone or everything. It's about becoming someone who is self-aware, self-compassionate, grounded in truth, and connected to their heart. And that self-compassion and forgiveness is about asking, who am I now? What do I believe about myself now? What do I deserve now? And what aligns with my truth now? Forgiveness brings us back home to ourselves and opens us up more for us to level ourselves up. Because what forgiveness ultimately does is it moves us out of survival mode. It restores emotional freedom. It improves our health and well-being. It clears space for aligned choices that come with clarity. It deepens self-understanding, and it strengthens your self-mastery. And most importantly, it reconnects us to love. Okay? Let's reconnect our hearts to ourselves. To reach that unconditional love, we need to forgive. Otherwise, we're still lacing conditions on our own love for ourselves. There's no judgment. The compassion is necessary to lead us to the forgiveness. And that forgiveness has to be for us in what we experienced. And forgiveness has to be for humans and for humanity for what it is. You don't have to forgive a person or a circumstance, but just understand so that you can bring peace back into your heart. It's not going to happen if you don't ask yourself these beautiful questions. Where am I still holding pain? Where am I ready to soften? What parts of me need compassion right now? What can I offer myself, even in a small moment of grace? So these little tiny things that questions we can ask ourselves and things we can do for ourselves is going to help bring peace back into our hearts. So I might have talked long enough. Let's see in the comments. Stephanie says, people are easy to forgive. Forgiving myself, nope, not easy, and I fight me. I would love to elaborate on that a little bit more. It's so hard because we were taught that we deserve to be punished. Because when you're silenced, especially you people pleasers, and I'm calling myself out there as well, when we're conditioned to believe that our feelings and thoughts and needs don't matter, it brings us to a state and a place where we punish ourselves when really it's meant to punish us so that we can be exploited and have control over us. Okay, it's a tactic that's been taught and ingrained in our system the way it is. It's in religion, it's in culture, it's in society, it's ingrained in the conditioning. So it's up to us to break free from those conditions and recognize that there's a different way. And that's where this radical idea of self-forgiveness comes in, because why should you keep suffering someone else's punishment when you wouldn't even trust them with anything in your life and would never go to them for advice and don't take anything that they have to say or do as anything of value? So like you're carrying the weight of and the burden of their limited judgmental perspectives projected at you at a time when you were trying to survive them. So I don't know what the circumstances are, so whatever's coming out my mouth, I hope it resonates. That self-forgiveness piece is really to separate the specific circumstance and person from the humanity of all of us. We're all limited by our own personal experiences. Sheila says, I struggle to forgive not just people, but most of all myself. I can't forgive for things. So you're not showing yourself compassion. So that's why I say, let's start with compassion. So both you and Bubble Kittens have homework. Practice self-compassion. And I want you to stop on and analyze. So like when you feel a negative emotion come up, that you're the self-deprecating one, like, well, I resent myself for, I can't forgive myself for, walk yourself through to the bottom of that. And I want you to walk yourself through the negative thought pattern that you feel about yourself. Is there resentment under there? Do you resent ultimately them? If you feel resentment for them, in what ways do you resent yourself for tolerating, for allowing, for not speaking up when you should have, could have, would have, all that BS and the stories that we tell ourselves that we cling on to. We cling on to these stories because it's deep in our conditioning. We have to start with the compassion towards ourselves, because you can forgive anyone and anything and in a beautiful way in your heart. But at the end of the day, if you don't give yourself the deep levels of compassion, you're not fully going to be able to forgive the humanness of individuals so that you can release yourself from that chain, from those prison cells that you create out of your pain. Because we lock ourselves into this ruminating over what happened to us and getting mad at people. It's okay. We have to allow that anger to breathe, especially in circumstances where it was beyond anyone's control and it was a freak thing. Okay. How do we do that? Through when humanity has taught us that there's not anyone, hardly, not at all, not all, but mind you, we've been conditioned not to trust. How do we change conditioning? One small decision at a time. And that sounds like such a simple answer, but it literally is that simple. And that's part of the process of rewiring your brain, because this is a computer and we get to program it. And accepting that as the truth first is the first piece. So acknowledging I can rewire my brain and update my thinking, because this is an outdated thinking, right? So, and we see very mild versions of outdated thinking going by the wayside in society. As society grows, But when you're coming from a heart-centered space, sometimes it feels like a foreign concept to most people. So you're going to be surrounded by a majority of individuals that aren't okay with that heart-centered space because it makes them uncomfortable because they haven't looked at themselves in the way that you're looking at yourself. So understand that. Accept the idea that you're doing something different to help yourself. It doesn't matter if the rest of the world isn't caught up yet. That it is what it is, and they're at where they're at in their own journeys, just like you're at where you're at in your journey. That's all. So separate the they did this to me part or this happened to me part from the reality of, okay, this is the circumstances that I experienced and they were the catalyst for me to feel the way I felt in order for me to heal what I needed to heal that surfaced. So we can go back to what it surfaced. I think that's self-forgiveness and integral in order to heal core wounds like worthlessness 100%. And you are on point 100%, because at the bottom of all of those is your self-worth. You were taught you weren't worthy of being forgiven because everything was such a travesty. When you're around not toxic people, everything's traumatic and drama, right? Everything's all your fault. Everything's a problem. You're the problem, right? That's what life is like when you're surrounded by toxicity. It's difficult not to feel guilty. Correct. That's also part of the deep conditioning. So we have to decide, no, that belief system is very limiting and outdated and does not take every circumstance and personal heart into consideration, and I don't accept it. You can walk yourself through that verbally out loud if you need to, maybe do mirror work if it helps you to connect with your higher self. In doing this kind of work, maybe write a letter to yourself, journaling, something just encouraging you and empowering yourself to deserve forgiveness, be worthy of love, regardless. This self-forgiveness piece is you releasing yourself from that self-punishment, right? We're taught to punish ourselves to make lives easier for the coercive controllers and abusers in our lives. That's at the base of all of this. So ultimately, we got to bring ourselves into a space and place where we are okay with deciding to do something different so that we can release ourselves from shame and guilt, because that's conditioning. We should never, and I'm shoulding. Michael says, actually, that's something I've never had as doing. There, I can't read this morning. I've never had as problem doing. There's only really two things that have ever been said to me that I don't know that I can ever forgive. Maybe one day, but not yet. Okay. So thank you for that example, because that's something very specific that I could speak on to right now. So the things that were said to you for you to be triggered. So we're shifting our focus onto what the trigger was and why it triggered you. And we're going to remind ourselves that that limited human being is not someone that holds weight or value, and they were hurtful because that's where they're at in their own journey. That doesn't excuse it, forgive it, or make it go away, but it closes that door so that you can separate that out from their purpose in your experience, which was to trigger you. And what was at the heart of that trigger? And at the heart of that trigger is going to be tied to your self-worth and tied to your deservedness to have your needs met. Does that make sense? I'm trying to catch up with the things on the chats, the things on the side. Tell me you're neurospicy without telling me you're neurospicy. Michael said, growing up, my stepdad had a stash of money he saved to play poker and with his friends that my mom would go into buy or whatever. You were 6 the first time this happened, and she came home and left a little toy that she had gotten for me that I wouldn't even not, where does that, it goes on, where does it continue? needed, but is it this one? Okay. Was it what a child like me needed? No, but it made me who I am, so I'm happy for that at least. Yes. And considering, I think with all of this self-compassion and self-forgiveness work, the most important piece is for us to step back, take a step back. And that's that, we talked about reevaluation and reflection from the observational eyes, from those lens, put on the observation glasses and just watch it like you're watching a YouTube video. And what do you observe from the dynamics, from the context and history? Part of I jokingly say my life is a sitcom, but part of the reason why I say that is because I'm in the observer stance and I'm watching things unfold and I'm seeing what they are for the reality that they are from the perspective of the person delivering that projection. So that's the space that we can get ourselves into when we allow ourselves that self-forgiveness and allow ourselves to sit in that and see things for the reality of that time that it was, because it helps you separate your emotions and the pain and the taking it personally part from the flawed, limited humanity of every being on the planet. And it allows you to see yourself from a more strengthened light, what you did to survive it, even at 6 years old, the radical acceptance you did of just whatever she gave you. Notice then later, when he noticed the money and mom would help him, quote unquote, look for it and then happen into my room and take the thing she bought me to him, happened until I moved out at 21 and I never said anything. So she would give you a gift and then take it back and place someone else's worth above yours. I understand. That's very painful and very toxic and very unhealthy. She sounds like she was in a deep doo-doo of survival mode. And Bubble Kitten says, I'm finding the more I forgive and groan, the more anger and resentful I feel. And it can be so overpowering that it forces me back into that old thinking pattern. Okay, so I'm going to kick you off this hamster wheel and focus that anger and resentment that you're feeling into righteous anger. First, you got to flip it on its head and go into righteous anger and go into the whole, I didn't deserve. I didn't ask for this to be treated. I didn't, And then in that self-righteousness, sit with it for a minute and ask yourself, what did I say, do, or think at that time myself? Where was I at in my own healing journey? How did I present? Was it in a manner in which invited, because I didn't set boundaries, I didn't speak my truth, I didn't allow myself to okay, if I didn't, was I in survival mode and why? Was he not safe? Was they this? Was they that? So sitting with yourself and walking through that with yourself gives you an opportunity to see, oh, I see, I didn't set boundaries. Oh, I see, I didn't There may be another level. I'm giving you very detailed. There may be another level of anger and resentment, because then you start to feel like, well, I don't like that I did that and I wouldn't have done it if. Okay, this is why it's like this. We're talking real shit today. Oh, there's $1 for this radio station. So you might go through those ups and downs, but I want you to keep bringing it back to self-righteousness and that righteous anger and that you being your own advocate, at least in here and in here, and you championing for yourself and talking yourself through it like, oh, girl, that was not cool. That was not okay. Give yourself that love, that friendship, that validation, that value, that worth. Make yourself feel like you deserved better in this process, okay? And then you'll better be able to shift yourself into that forgiveness piece, okay? Because what you're doing in that whole process is showing you compassion. What part of you needs compassion? Is the part that of me that needed to feel heard? Is it the part of me that felt judged? Is it the part of me that was mocked and shamed and silenced? Was it the part of me that didn't know how to set boundaries because no one ever taught me, because my conditioning, we're all traumatized by the system, culture, and society and religion, right? So all of us have a core wound on some level that affected our self-worth. So we all made decisions based in feel and self-preservation and protection, right? All of us have stuff that we need to give ourselves compassion for because of macro level, the big picture of every character, where they were at, their backstory and context. Us, the main character, where we're at, backstory, context, and circumstances. And then everyone has their own unique response to the circumstances. It's like the friggin' melting pot in a mixed up sauce, isn't it? It is. So when we reflect with compassion and love in our hearts, observing without judgment ourselves, we can now see very clearly what thought patterns and behaviors we can transfer and transmute and transition into something a lot healthier for us and a lot more in alignment with who we truly are, our authenticity, so that we're not abandoning ourselves and we're not betraying ourselves anymore, because ultimately it's our own self-betrayal and self-abandonment that is created from birth through the conditioning that keeps us stuck in those resentments and anger. So there's so many layers of forgiveness. I'm not even sure I'm done. Cindy says, my saying, I forgive, but don't forget, probably not the way I should forgive. And forgiveness is a whole journey in and of itself. I think that forgiving myself so I can heal. I forgive them, like I said, but I never forget. I'm not vengeful. I hope that the other person has a good life, but away from me. Yes, absolutely. We do forgive ourselves so we can heal. We're the only ones that need the forgiveness. Unless there's a potential to repair the relationship, because you're both helping each other evolve, and you're going to hurt each other sometimes. Sometimes there's two hearts that are both pure and good intentioned, that maybe those good intentions can overstep and hurt each other. So there are spaces where there could be potential for repair, as long as there's authenticity, vulnerability, openness about your truth. So you do need to speak your truth. In the past, when you're not safe, your nervous system tells you, and you silence yourself to keep yourself safe. That's not a bad thing. So when we reflect on ourselves to forgive ourselves, to heal, we have to remember to include the gratitude for ourselves for making the right choice, even at 6 years old, intuitively trusting ourselves. Cindy says, my mom would be one way with me when we were home alone, abusive, mental and physical, but around my dad and others, she would be loving. Yes. Oh gosh, Cindy, I feel like okay, wait, let me read. Then I wonder why I was scared of her. So whenever someone comes at me in anger, I feel like shrinking and hiding. However, now I stand tall and go, not today. I love that. That is the past me, and I can do this. Yes. Oh gosh, 100% yes. And I think there's a lot of us that feel like in survival mode, we were that person. My children can tell you, I was super overprotective of my kids because I was trying to protect them from all the abuse surrounding us and buffering. And I was in my own survival mode because I was receiving most of the hits. But then it was like the chain of command. And like, if my kids were like acting up with each other, with kids do, siblings do, it would like set me over the edge. And then I would become the scary person. I think in our survival mode, we all end up looking a little toxic to somebody at some point. And so there's a lot to forgive within ourselves, just as humans. We didn't have the tools or the understanding that we have now, and we're not learning what we learn now. And so just carrying ourselves through to the next stage of our life by allowing permission to Um, and yes, Cindy, you're correct. We're taking accountability with ourselves. I'm gonna use what her comment. I cannot repair the other person has taken no. Okay, exactly. If there's no accountability, it's not going to happen. The other person has to be safe. It has to be mutual. And the only person that you're responsible for with regards to accountability is yourself. You can't make somebody be accountable at all. They're only at where they're at. And ask yourself always, what part of me needs compassion right now? What part of me can I take accountability for? If you don't like something, what is it within yourself that is still in need of being loved a little bit harder? And Sheila says, I really lack self-worth and I cling to whatever or whoever shows me attention in a bad way. I've got to learn not to be okay with that. That's from your conditioned abuse. You were conditioned and controlled. That's coercive control too. And every abuse is under coercive control. So your experiences by being abused conditioned you to take breadcrumbs, and that because you were also neglected and starved of attention and affection and it was used to punish you, you are in that situation where you feel as though, that's the case. This is what it's going to be in your circumstances. The thing that I need you to focus on, though, is you are a valuable human being, even though you were told you weren't. Remember, that was people trying to bring you down to control, broken. And God forgive me, I'm using this spirit, help me with this one. Horses. What do we do with horses? You break their fucking spirit before they can listen to you. That's what abusers do to humans. That's not okay with horses, and that's not okay with humans. So I want you to understand that what you experienced was not okay. All of it is crap. Part of forgiveness and compassion for yourself is realizing that you lived through fucking crap. And that shit's got to go. My mom can be a controlling, hovering parent, and I'm 44. So, Cindy, I understand in my own experience how controlling mothers can be. Shall come into my home and start cleaning my house. And when she, yes, has a department of her own to clean. Yes. So I can personally speak to that because I think a lot of females, and I'm saying females, okay, have these kinds of mothers. And I'm going to make a general statement of what their experience was. What has been normalized in the past is abuse, is exploitive behavior and controlling and dominance over the female in the home. And if things weren't just so to the liking of the other person in the house, they got punished. And so it is deeply ingrained in them to hover and control their own environment to keep themselves safe. That included you. That included how you showed up. That included helping you improve in your own life or helping you a little too much in a way that you didn't ask for and you don't need, which leaves them judging you for what you're not, the standard that you're not meeting that they were expected to meet. And that isn't realistic. And it's taken a couple of generations for us as humanity to understand that's not a realistic dynamic. That shit's got to go. Through all this, how can you forgive yourself for allowing it to affect you the way it did or still does? That's a great question. So the way we put that up again, if you don't mind. Thank you, Micah. Thank you. So there's a lot that affected us because every choice is based on where our emotional energy is at. It's up to us to make a decision within our hearts to say, I accept fully and completely that I might have been a complete asshole or an idiot, or I betrayed myself and violated myself throughout my entire journey because that's what I learned. And that's all I had. And that's all I had access to. That's all I knew. That's all I experienced, blah, 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 blah. The compassion piece. Okay, Spirit is telling me to remind you that don't forget part of the conditioning is to shame you and to tell you that those are excuses for poor behavior and to tell you that you deserve what you had coming because the society, culture, and religion conditions you to feel like crap about yourself. And then you make decisions based off of what you think you're supposed to be doing or the best way that you know how to fucking figure out how to survive whoever you're with, right? That's about another $5 for the station. So it only still affects you because you're doing the work that they projected onto you so that they could control you. You're shaming yourself now. You've taken over that responsibility. Oh, you don't have to shame me. I got it. I'm going to shame myself. It sounds kind of ridiculous when you think of it from that macro perspective of you were fucking duped. That's a reality. Society conditioned you, culture conditioned you, religion conditioned you. It's been thousands of years of a mindset and mentality that is imbalanced and separative. So it's up to us to bring ourselves into a decision to choose something different going forward. Stephanie said, I found that my frustration with Clara has been a response to how I felt as a child and how people reacted to me. Last night, I realized that and took a step back and approached differently. Oh, yes, yes, yes. It's that big step back. And I really wish I had my other deck on me, that like the one that keeps popping out cards. But it's in the step back and what society shames us for that they've convinced us is excuses is actually a way you can self-advocate and self-reflect in a way that shows you compassion and understanding. That compassion and understanding will bring you to that state of forgiveness because you do deserve forgiveness. You have a pure heart. You were coming from a heart-centered space and you did the best you could to try to please the other person, to satisfy them, to ease the situation and diffuse the tension and the anger and the whatever the heck was happening in the moment or whatever the circumstance or situation is that you felt unforgivable, including when we do stupid shit because we don't know any different and our heart tells us it's different. Our nervous system, we cringe ourselves, we trigger ourselves. And so those are the things that we need to illuminate with love and shine that loving light onto so that we can bring ourselves into that compassionate place. Reflect, reframe, and resolve within yourself, and then forgive what you carried. Don't carry it anymore. Don't carry any of this crap anymore. We're changing the whole damn system. Do you realize what we're doing? We are changing the whole damn system. All of us, all of you here, all of you who are going to tune in later on, we're the ones changing the system. That we're not the first, but we're the ones right now changing the system for who is going to witness us showing up differently out there in the world. We're showing up from a space of compassion and love. That is irrefutable in any circumstances, any future argument or disagreement you get into. You keep returning to that heart-centered space of unconditional love and compassion for all. I promise you, those people are going to be affected because maybe, just maybe, you might plant a seed of love, and maybe they'll allow that plant of seed to love and grow of love to grow within themselves. Maybe. Not your job to worry about that. It's your responsibility to give yourself that self-forgiveness and compassion that you deserve. Because without that deeper connectedness to yourself, it's going to be hard to put yourself up on top and know that you're worthy and know that you're deserving and know that you have nothing to be ashamed of in any of your life. And I know a lot of you feel this way in a lot of different aspects of your life where you're solid in some ways, but then there might be that one person that does this one thing or says that one thing that just sets you backwards. Let's illuminate that and love that a little bit more deeply and sit with that when we ask ourselves those loving questions. I think that's the hard part. I want to change the system, but I don't know anything past my trauma. And that's the whole point of trauma. My trauma has become what defines me, and anything outside that that odd comfort zone, I've learned not to like. And that's not okay. So the reason why you don't like anything outside that comfort zone is because you're surrounded by people who make you uncomfortable and you're not safe. And Kim, your trauma. Okay, so the whole idea and the way the system is set up, where there's nothing but there's a lot of unkindness. I don't even know if that's a word, but there's a lot of like strife and separation and competition and anger and meanness. There's mean spiritedness that's in the world. And unfortunately, a majority of us, like our generation before us, was worse than we are. So we're of the like, we don't like this. What the fuck is this shit? That's what we're doing right now. And the way we break free from that tether is to understand that trauma was created to keep us exploited and keep us in a controllable state. And it goes far beyond those little intimate relationships, friendships, family, loved ones, kids, whatever. It goes beyond that because it's programmed in the conditioning of religion, culture, and society. And the system is structured in that way. Look at old television shows and movies. If you are forgetting what life was like not that long ago, go see how really crappy the mindsets and the attitudes and the lifestyles that was presented as normal and okay is really not okay in some of these movies and TV shows from yesteryear. And it'll remind you, like, oh crap, ugh, that's not okay. And that explains a lot. So maybe do something like that for your brain. And I'm trying to catch up a little bit here. We do our best with what we know, and we integrate every new lesson. I'm not done. I might still have some things to forgive within myself. There's layers to this, right? It's an onion, right, Shrek? Or donkey, whoever said that. It's layers. So we have to help ourselves through it with acknowledging fully and accepting fully what is the reality of what it is that's unforgivable, so that we can move into that self-validation, self-acceptance, self-love, self-compassion piece. We're not making excuses. We're giving ourselves grace. We're not trying to blame someone else for us. We're giving ourselves grace. When an experience takes you out of alignment via physiological and psychological dysfunction, remember it was a moment, and it takes practice to recognize it was just a moment. Thank you, Micah. Yes, everything is happening right now, and each moment you have a decision to make. Do I decide that I want to focus on the trauma and how it hurt me and what it did to me and the choices that I made and be angry about that? Or do I want to switch into a different mindset and see myself as a badass for surviving and deciding that I deserve better than that shit? Because you know what? That systemic, oppressive, exploitive, separatist, and dominance and control bullshit, no one likes it. That's the truth. No one fucking likes it. It doesn't feel good. So it's up to us to choose to show up differently for ourselves. Whew. I think that was a lot. I'm going to owe a lot of money. I am going to owe $20 at this rate. I love it, Lularia. You're a cake, not an onion. Oh, I'm going to start using that now. Thank you. Yes, that's very true. You can I guess I'm supposed to do like the outboarding stuff. Today's Monday, so I think tonight is the messengers, and I think there's something else in between on Micah's other stuff that he's got going on. So catch everything everywhere on all the socials. Oh yes, and I love this. How can we fix it? This is going to be a great talk on Phoenix Talks because it ties such a great follow up to this conversation. You all gotta come to this one. And then of course we've got Brindle's Vision tomorrow and Lunaria on Friday and us, the core, the three of us together on We Can't Make This Shit Up, also known as the core, on Thursday, and Michael on Saturday. And I know there's other ones coming up. So go check out Embers of Light and sign up if you haven't, and join the chat and go find us because we all love you and I love you. Healingrose.org is going to be linked inside of Embers. And if you click on the bloom, you'll find my contact information there or how to reach me. Michael did an incredible job. Michael Justin did a phenomenal freaking job with Embers of Light. So go check out at least his work. And if you need a web designer, okay. Thank you. I love you all. I love you so much. Go give yourself some more compassion today. Thank you. Thank you.
From the soil of your sorrow, petals from pain, new color in tomorrow. You walk through the dark with a soft, steady truth, holding your heart till your heart can ease you. This is the This is the blue.
Hey, this is Brindle Wolf.
And I'm Lunaria.
You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action.
We're here to spark your growth, lift your spirit, and help you crush your potential.
Rise Awakenings, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken. Rise Awakening, now is the time. Rise Awakenings, let's rise together.